Okay, for service on this GUA, I'm not going to go over everything. I'd reference you back to 80% service for a lot of it, but just a couple things maybe a little bit different on this thing. Once you've got that draft motor running, check your amp draw. Now this looks like it's drawn about 7/10 of an amp, and it's rated at 1, noted right there. I've heard the hot surface igniter come on, and the ignition should come on pretty soon. Okay, I'd go ahead and shut the gas valve off. Let this thing go through 3 cycles and be sure that it starts blinking and shuts off after 3 times. Goes into hard lockout. Just a safety check on it. Okay, so you're going to be looking for the flashing light on this thing after the 3 tries to indicate that it has gone out on hard lockout. Okay, how we're going to test this pressure switch is I'm going to cover this up and hold the cover over it. Okay, you can see it did shut off. I've got my probes right down there in TH and TR, so it tells me that works. Okay, when you have this thing fired up, you're going to want to check the manifold pressure by taking that plug out and putting your manometer on it. And it should be factory specs. Okay, I pulled the control box cover off, and the way you shut that fan off is you just simply pull this plug right there, and you're ready to go. Now you can leave it laying down there while you're doing this if you want. I don't think it hurts anything. Just don't get anything that's going to be shorted to ground. And we're going to go ahead and fire this thing up. Okay, what I've done here, this one's a little hard to tell whether it's burning or not. You can look through the inspection window, but there's an easier way if you just go ahead and clamp the gas valve. And you see I'm reading 0.3, 0.2 amps on this gas valve, so I know I'm burning. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be watching that limit switch back there and see if it'll go up and shut down. So what we're doing is we're testing to see if the fan motor has failed. I'm not going to go through all the service checks on the fan motor. I'll give you a reference to a video where I did all that in the same type of furnace. But all I'm going to do now is I'm going to watch that limit switch go up, and we'll see if it shuts off the burner. It looks like we kicked off. Back out here, you can see my ammeter says 0, so it has shut off. Okay, I've got my amp probe put around the common wire, which is white, to the fan, because I got the fan running again to cool this thing down. I'm running 5.3 amps. It's about what it should be. You can't know what the amp draw actually should be on this furnace unless you take the fan motor out and check it out. Sometimes it's a little too much to take the fan motor out. You've got to take the bracket, the belly band off, and all that stuff. And so I oftentimes don't do that. If I'm running in the right area, I'll call it good. And then of course you check the bearings and the like on the fan. I did want to note, when you're pulling, you got to pull these burners out and check the heat exchanger. These are adjustable burners. I don't know how the heck you'd ever adjust them and be able to see whether the flame is right, because there's a cover right over the top of them. I don't think I've ever seen any that were anything other than wide open. And I guess on this one, I don't know what else you can do. I'd probably just leave them alone. Okay, you got a mandatory heat exchanger check with all these, and I've got the burners out of this thing now. You can see the burners are gone. And looking up in here, using your hands wherever you can, get a flashlight in there, something like that, and check out those heat exchanger tubes. If it's really dirty in there, vacuum it out. But it is a mandatory heat exchanger check on these things every time. Be very thorough with these heat exchanger checks. Okay, and here's the burners. Got them laying out there. You're going to check close to see if you got. You're going to check close to see if you've got rust in those slots, and clean them up with a toothbrush.